It's a real pleasure for me to be able to join you in the celebration of the 40th anniversary of UNESCO's International Program for the Development of Communication. Never have the challenges facing the media been greater, and never has the need for a diverse, independent, strong media been greater. Let me elaborate on those 2 points. Around the world, there are authoritarian figures, demagogues, are on the rise. Political scientists, sociologists, economists are trying to understand the forces giving rise to these movements. But whatever the reason, we know the consequences. There are echoes of what happened in the 1930s with the growth of fascism in all its forms. We've already seen the consequences in many countries. These demagogues, authoritarian figures, flourish on nativism, populism, nationalism. They turn people against each other, within countries and between countries. Eventually, the light of democracy diminishes, and the Enlightenment values that have led to the flourishing of mankind is dimmed. The consequences we see in the pandemic. Overall, the demagogues have done poorly in managing COVID-19 and its economic aftermath. The countries that have been based on trust, democracy, human rights, recognizing respect of citizens for each other, and the importance of truth and science have done better. And the countries where there's a strong media to disseminate information have done it better. A particular concern is how these demagogues, these authoritarian figures, oppose science, truth, and our institutions for ascertaining and disseminating the truth. They've opposed a free and independent media, sometimes with outright suppression, but more generally making it in one way harder for them to thrive. Sometimes they encourage their cronies to buy them up. They often attack the free media as reflecting fake news, undermining truth itself, and encouraging skepticism, where no one knows what is the truth. Trump has talked about alternative facts, simple things as how many individuals show up at his inauguration. But these demagogues and authoritarian-like figures also undermine the right to know, the laws governing freedom of information, and this undermines accountability and accompanies other changes to undermine the institutionality of our society, our ability to hold individuals accountable, and to make sure we have well-functioning societies. So the need to keep these demagogues in check has never been greater. But this need comes exactly at the time of challenges to the business model of a free and independent media. The viability of the press has often depended on advertising. And the problem is that the development of social media has provided a new means of advertising. The link between news, investigative journalism, communication, and advertising has always been an uncomfortable marriage. It was a joint product, news and advertising, but it was not inevitable, and it was, as we have seen, a fragile marriage. And the social media has clearly undermined it. It's not only undermined the business model, and that's been, of course, very important, but it's also spread mis- and disinformation. It's created echo chambers making both the need for a free and diverse media greater, but the task confronting a free and diverse media much more difficult. And the question is, what is to be done? Of course, in democracies, we know what needs to be done, and we actually have the ability to do it. We need to strengthen the free and diverse media with public support. Information is a public good. It's one of the important insights of modern economics. And as a public good, it needs public support. Good information is necessary for the functioning of a strong democratic state. And countries like Sweden and UK have shown it can be done. One can create independent institutions providing accurate and relevant information and disseminating it widely in a form which is accessible and interesting. And there also needs to be direct citizen support, voluntary contributions. And in the thriving democracies, citizens recognize this, and there has been over the years an outpouring of support. Around the world, there needs to be a leveling of the playing field between the social media and the more traditional media. But it has to be done in a careful way. There has to be control of mis- and disinformation, but not in a way that undermines democracy, undermines free speech. Those with strong democracies and democratic institutions have again shown that it can be done. We also know that the international press can play a very important role. They can be more objective, less circumscribed. Even in the United States, we've seen how media like the Financial Times has succeeded in covering the Iraq War and certain Wall Street scandals in ways that domestic media have not always done. It's also important to enshrine the principles of freedom of information, not only the right to tell, but the right of access to information, because without access to information, the media can't do their job. And neither public nor private entities can be held accountable. UNESCO can play an important role in ensuring these perspectives are strengthened around the world. Thank you, and I wish you the best.